Dear English postgraduates, striving PGTRB English examination competitors, greetings to all of you. Welcome to the platform of FHC School of English to get ready for the race of PGTRB English examination. Fluency School of English is a wonderful diving platform for you to swim across the race, the PGTRB English examination. In this video, the gist of the Fairy Queen Book 3 has been presented to you. Virtue is the theme that runs through the Fairy Queen. The 6 virtues are holiness, temperance, friendship, justice and courtesy. Author represents the virtue of magnificence, which is the perfection of all the rest and containeth in it them all. The 7 deadly sins constitute the opposite of the virtual ideal. These 7 deadly sins are idleness, gluttony, luxury, avarice, envy and wrath. Their appearance appropriate to their names. Book 3 is longer and so it has been divided into 3 parts. And this one being part 2, it contains cantos 6, 7, 8 and 9. The Fairy Queen Book 3 deals with the virtue of chastity, and the Lady Knight Betomat is the heroine of this book. In Book 3, 4 women fight to preserve their chastity. Betomat, Floimel, Bephebe or Belphebe and Amoret. In this video, the gist of the Fairy Queen Book 3 has been presented to you. Almost all essential events have been presented here. Hope you will enjoy the travel with me, finding this video that fulfills all your demands. Be with me until the last. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also don't fail to send your feedback. Book 3, Part 2, Canto 6, 7. Now we come across Belphebe. Belphebe had recently saved the poor squire Timaeus. Belphebe is an example of virginity and chastity. Her mother is Chrysogene. Belphebe was born in the most unusual circumstances. Her mother, Chrysogene, never knew man. Chrysogene was impregnated by the rays of sun as she slept by a slave. Fearing that her conception would bring her disgrace, she fled into the wilderness. It happened at a time that Venus had gone looking for her runaway son Cupid. Cupid had already been left in many miseries with his arrows of love. Finally, Venus finds the goddess Diana in the forest, resting after a hunt. Diana agrees to help Venus to find out Cupid. As Diana and Venus were searching, they come across Chrysogene, who has just given birth to twins in the same manner she conceived them. While asleep, both goddesses decide to each take one child and raise her. Diana calls her baby Belphebe and takes her off to the forest to raise her in the ways of chastity. Here we should note the pronunciation of name Belphebe is uttered in many ways in Google. So I have chosen one of the pronunciations, Belphebe. Somebody says Bephebe, like that. But I choose and prefer to use Belphebe only. But Venus takes the other child and names her Amoret and takes her to the garden of Adonis. Just then the god Saturn happens by. Sun Saturn sees the dead horse and Florimell's golden girdle and fears the worst. Sun Saturn overcomes the beast by tying it up with a girdle. But a mighty giantess rides by with a squire held captive on her lap and being chased by a knight. Giantess is the medieval English term for giantess. The giantess is being chased by another knight. A giantess knocks down Sir Saturn. But when the other knight approaches the giantess, tosses away the squire and flees. The squire explains the situation to Saturn, and the giantess was Argenta, daughter of Titans, a monstrous giant with embodiment of lust who delights in sinning against nature. Meanwhile, the real Florimell is floating on the sea on the fisherman's boat. When the boat's owner wakes up, he is shocked. But his shock turns to lust for the lovely woman he sees on deck. When Florimell refuses his advances, he tries to rape her. Florimell screams. Florimell's scream attracts the attention of Proteus, the shepherd of the seas, a shapeshifter who lives beneath the water. Proteus comes and rescues Florimell, throws the fisherman to the shore. But Proteus takes Florimell to his underwater boat. There he himself tries to woo her, changing into many shapes to try and please her as a knight, a king, and even a giant. While Florimell tries keeping her virginity, he in anger throws her into his dungeon. Meanwhile, Saturn is journeying with the squire he rescued from Argenta. They meet the knight named Paridel. Paridel is looking for news of Florimell. Saturn and the squire inform him that he is probably dead. They have only seen her confused horse. Anyhow, they still pledge to search for her together. As the night is falling, they are in need of a shelter. They find an abbey castle but are refused to enter. They run into a shed to protect themselves. The squire explains why they were not let into the castle. It is the house of Malbico, an ill-tempered old miser who has a young attractive wife named Helinor. To protect Helinor and his money, Malbico admits no guests. Another night arrives at the castle. He is also rejected entrance. He raises his spear to demand entrance. Paridel charges him but is knocked down. Malbico sees finally relents, admitting them. When they remove the armor, they are shocked to see a long hair and a woman's figure on the strange night. It's Britomart. Pleased they also sit down to dinner and persuade the host Malbico to have his wife Helinor join them. A suspicious Malbico does not notice Paridel and his wife exchange lusty glances. Each of the guests is asked to tell of his or her ancestry. Paridel's mind is still full of Helinor. Paridel claims to be descended from Paris the Trojan who stole Helen from her husband, Phoebe. Thus the four women, Britomart, Florimell, Belphoebe and Amoret, preserve their chastity. Thank you. Book Part 3, Part 2 is over.